Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lions on the Prowl. This is our video episode, and so we've been trying to get to video for quite a while, so hopefully this is going to work out for us. Special guest Cam
Dizzy!
And then we have, of course,
Maniac Tim.
Ooh.
He's a maniac. Maniac.
Yes, he is. All right, guys. So this week we're gonna bring up a couple of different topics about the disrespect of the Detroit Lions. Pro Football, was it NFL Network, right?
Right. Yep.
Top 100. Matthew Stafford, 31.
31. Really?
Darius Slay, 49.
That's
no
it.
one else from the Lions. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's a little ridiculous when you think about what Matthew Stafford has been able to do with this team that had
Right.
very little in the way of offensive line help. He's running for his life all the time. He's has no running game and still puts 4,400 yards up last year.
Yeah. And then you got your receivers that that have not even been mentioned in the 100.
Exactly.
That didn't make it. It's like, where's the respect that they deserve?
Exactly. So Marvin Jones had over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdown catches. So also
Golden Tate.
Over 1,000 yards again.
Right.
And neither one of them cracked 100 top players.
I mean, that's
really,
just...
it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's just a continuation of the disrespect that we see in the national media for the Detroit Lions. And it's getting a little old after a while. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What do you think, Cam?
I agree with you 100%. I don't think that we get the respect that we deserve. It's always been like that since I started, following in 07, 08. It's always been like that,
Right.
Because we had an 16 season. I mean, people have bad seasons. It just happens. Your teams are going to do that. I feel like the players we have, just like the Pro Bowl, we haven't really had very many Pro Bowlers selected either.
That's
I mean,
true.
That's another topic.
Yeah, that's a
what
good
I'm saying.
point.
I mean, I can go with Matthew Stafford, who's got gypped a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these years.
Oh, my
Just
gosh.
like he got gypped for 31. There's not 30 players that are better than him. I mean, there's a few, yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that. There is a few. He's still not at the top of the list, but he's a lot better than that.
It's a lot better than 31.
And then Golden Tate, what he can do after he catches the ball.
Oh,
is
yeah.
just what other receiver can do that? I mean, there's no other receiver that can do that. You throw the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he goes for 50. I mean, breaking tackles, breaking ankles. I mean, the dude's just amazing.
His ability to get yards after the catch is amazing. And Marvin Jones is a deep threat. That dude,
yes.
I don't know how he does it, but he can get up to that point of the ball and catch it where the other person is like, right all over him. And he's still, it was almost reminiscent of Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way he used to
believe
catch
it.
the ball.
Right.
And that was a Bob Quinn thing. I mean, Bob Quinn brought him in. That was the first free agent I think he brought in was Marvin Jones.
One of the first few.
Yeah, and
he's excellent.
Yep, and he's building that culture,
Exactly.
But then they don't want to respect the Lions for that, And just like with T.J. Lang, where they go ahead and they give him a lot more penalties than what he ever
had with Green Bay.
Right, so it's just...
There was an article about that when he was with Green Bay, the most yardage he ever got penalized for in a season was 35 yards.
Right.
Last year, first year with the Lions, 70 yards.
Right.
Double the most that he's ever got for the Packers. And there were some years, like in 2015, where he got like 15 yards the whole season, and he played 16 games.
Yeah, and I think we've got to start, as fans, really demanding respect, because that's what we need and that's what we deserve. This is BS.
It is. It is. It's the officiating. It's the bad calls, the disrespect on BSPN and all the other major NFL network, quote unquote. If it wasn't for Nate Burleson and Dan Orlovsky, they would have buried us the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Colin Cowherd from the Herd.
Yeah, that was really good.
He
He did a thing, Matthew Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers, and he did this comparison where Rodgers was not that good in high school. And of course, Matthew Stafford was tops. And in college, he didn't go to a secondary school. He went to the University of Georgia, and
right away.
Matthew Stafford and went into a much tougher division and ruled it. I mean, did really well. Now he's with Detroit. He inherited a team that was a disaster, 0-16. He inherits that team. Aaron Rodgers, he inherits a team that went to a championship game.
Yes. Matthew Stafford's still throwing for 5,000 yards, minimum 4,000 yards without a running game. I mean, what other quarterback can do that?
Without a running game.
No running game.
Running for your life just about every play. It's amazing to me that the guy is still standing from a lot of the hits he took last year.
And also the best in comebacks.
Yeah.
But by far. There's
far.
not anybody
By
who's
far.
even close.
And so they did that comparison with Aaron Rodgers and him, and he beats him in every single category since 2015. To be fair, there's been a lot of injuries on Rodgers' side.
Right.
And he is a lot older than, I think he's 35 and Stafford's 30.
30, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that. It could be 36.
The experience is about
35.
the same, though, because he sat.
He sat for 3 years.
Right.
Yeah, but he got the opportunity to sit for 3 years and learn under Brett Favre.
Right.
Well, who did the Lions? Who did Matthew Stafford get to sit and learn under?
Nobody.
Dante Culpepper,
who was actually hurt.
He was gone.
Yeah, he was. How many quarterbacks did they go through in that 0-16 season?
Oh, quite a bit. Arlovsky and Culpepper. There was a couple other ones too.
Right.
It's just. See, it's disrespect, and that's what we're trying to talk about today. And it's not that we're crying and whining or bitching and moaning and all this other stuff. We're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring it out to you guys. So as fans, we can say, no, we're not accepting this garbage anymore. We're going to sit there and we're going to stand up and we're going to let the NFL know we're not taking this crap no more.
We deserve, we earn the respect. Not the disrespect that we've been getting.
Right. They're lovable losers like the Cubs. And the Cubs won a World Series. Washington Capitals had never won a Stanley Cup. Won a Stanley Cup this year.
The Aints. The Saints.
Had paper bags over their heads.
Right.
And then they turned it around. It's time for us to turn around. It is our turn. It is time for us to step up. And as a fan base. Demand exactly.
Respect.
Exactly. What has your team done to earn it? 9-7 last year, 9-7 the year before, 4-1 in the division, won the last 3 out of the 4 games against Green Bay, and it took a frickin' miracle for them to beat us that one time.
Right.
And a bad call.
Yep.
Or a
in overtime.
Call, we'll say.
Yep.
Face mask call. So, I mean, you know what? Green Bay doesn't dominate us.
Nope.
Nobody in our division does.
No. Who was the only team to beat Minnesota in Minnesota last year?
The Lions.
That's us.
Yep.
That's Detroit. But every year they pick us third or fourth. The only reason we're not picked last is because they hate the Bears more than us. It's really the only thing preventing us from being last. But every year it's never, the Lions could take the division. Never.
Right.
It's always, they got a good coach, they got a good team, blah, 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 third place.
Right. And like our schedule is the second hardest in the NFL this year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But like Stafford says, we got to step up.
That's right.
And that's the leader.
So this other thing that came out, and it was the executives of the league voted on who had the best offseason. And guess where the Lions ranked? Dead last with the Carolina Panthers. They got a D. And the only reason they do is because of Matt Patricia and signing him, not knowing about all the sexual assault allegations and all this stuff from 22 years ago, and that they didn't do the proper investigation, due diligence, whatever it is. To me, that's BS.
Yeah, and even before the season was ending, people pretty much knew that Patricia was going to go to the Lions or the Giants. I mean, it was a well-known fact. Nothing could have been done before, due to NFL rules.
Right.
Before.
But my concern is, okay, this guy spent 14 years in New England's organization, and they never did any investigative anything on him. He ends up being their defensive coordinator. I mean, how come there's nobody bashing them?
Right.
It's because it's the Lions.
Right.
And
it's
Ndamukong Suh.
Right.
And Ndamukong Suh comes to Detroit. That's why I've got this jersey on.
Yep.
And Ndamukong Suh comes to Detroit, right? And he is the worst person ever. He's a villain. He steps on people. He gets suspended. He's the dirtiest player in the game. He goes to Miami. You hear it for about a month or two, and then we've heard nothing. Not a thing. He gets traded to the Rams, or he goes to the Rams as a free agent. That's what it was. He goes to the Rams as a free agent. Oh, he's one of the best, most dominant defensive tackles in the league. But when he was with us, he was the worst person ever.
Right. I mean,
cancer, why do the players that come to Detroit? Huh?
They said we got to ban them, kick them off the team.
Yeah, exactly. So why is our players disrespected like that when they're on our team?
Right.
They come to somebody else, and all of a sudden they're the best thing since sliced bread.
Yep. And why is it that when, like, Calvin Johnson goes ahead and catches a winning touchdown pass, he needs to go ahead and have the official sign the ball before it's actually counted as a touchdown? Come on, guys.
And then it actually comes out to later that was a catch.
Yep.
You remember the catch?
The catch rule. Don't even talk about the catch rule. No one knows what the catch is. What is a catch nowadays?
They tried to redo that to where it's not the continuation anymore. So if you go to the ground and it falls out, then that's no big deal. If you catch it and you have 2 feet down, it's a catch.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Right. But they said he had to complete the process. And then they, actually changed the rules because it made them do a video replay after every scoring drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which screwed us over too.
Right.
Because in that Houston game with the Lions.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It was a Thanksgiving Day game.
Yep.
And this guy's from Houston, clearly down. Nobody in the whole building didn't think that guy was down. He gets up, runs to the end zone.
And the idiot refs.
What? Well, the refs never blew the whistle.
I know.
Number one, how are you so incompetent that you can't blow a whistle when this guy's knee is down, when everybody else, when our guys are down, they're down, But this guy, they let him run to the end zone. Okay, fine, whatever. It's a mistake. We can live with that, right?
Right.
But then Schwartz throws the challenge flag because he knows that guy was down. Okay? But no, the NFL rule says that they have to go ahead and review the play. If you throw the flag on a play that's already reviewable, they can't. They charge you 15. They give you a 15-minute penalty.
Yep.
Which is a questionable rule in itself, because and then the way it was handled, they still gave him the touchdown because then they couldn't review it.
They couldn't review it because the challenge flag came out before they had a chance to review it. So if he would have thrown the challenge flag later and they were already in the process of reviewing it, they would have reviewed it. But since he did it before they ever did it, they put the penalty on there. And not only did we get a 15-yard penalty, that guy got a touchdown. Yeah.
Which, how did one rule negate the other? Because the rule, it's just ludicrous to really.
And if you're trying NFL and you're trying to get something right, that's
why do you get it wrong all the time?
Not getting it right. And the Seattle Seahawks game.
Right.
Where we had Calvin Johnson's going towards the line, the ball's batted out. Great play.
Yeah.
Great play. Great defensive play. But then the guy bats the ball out of the end zone. Detroit should have had the ball at the 1 yard line because that's an illegal batting of the ball. They said, well, it wasn't intentional. You watch that video. That guy slows down to get to the ball, then bats the ball, and then goes like this.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious? How the heck is that not intentional, NFL? And then the next day you apologize and say, oh, well, guess what? We were wrong. We're sick and tired of you apologizing to us for this wrong. Why don't you get it right so we can win the game instead of losing the game and having your stupid apologies?
Yeah, too little, too late. And, and this stuff happens over and over and over again, where it drives you crazy.
Exactly.
Right, Cam?
Oh, yeah, I believe it. I mean, I just don't understand it. Why the NFL is like this. I mean, what is it going to take? Do we need to win a playoff game? Is that what we need to do? I mean, we go 9-7, 9-7. We have one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, what is it going to take? What do you want to see from us? Because every time we do something, we get one of the best, coaches out there we could have got. You guys criticize us. I mean, what do you need to see from us to respect us? Because we're tired of it. I mean, there's nothing we can do.
Absolutely. And we went 9-7 last year. Right. But the Atlanta game with the
we could have went 10-6, but
we should have been 10.
Right, we should have.
And we should have been. I mean, every year, if you think how many games they've taken away from us and add that to that record, we're not level losers anymore.
Right.
Nope.
And at least
We're
2
winning
games.
divisions.
We figure at least 2 games.
Yeah.
You know,
at least
1 or 2 games
a year, they're going to take away from us. Now, why would you? If you have to add that into an equation when you're looking at what you think your team's going to do this year, there is something seriously wrong with the NFL. And seriously wrong with the blatant disrespect.
Yep.
So us getting a D from the NFL executives on Matt Patricia, and then they don't say nothing about. And New England can blatantly cheat,
Right.
blatantly get away with all this stuff. The Lions, if they ever did that, we'd probably be kicked out of the league.
Yeah. And they just say, well, it's the way they play. You know, so they give them credit.
I meant Spygate, and I meant the Deflategate ball thing, where you know, Brady and the deflation thing.
Yeah.
All that stuff. That's what I was talking about. You know, not on the field as much, but it's like they get away with murder. Green Bay gets away with murder.
They could.
Yeah.
And we've been saying this all the time, but we want to back up what we say with stats and with evidence instead of, oh, they do this all the time. No, they do it, and we're pointing it out. We're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of the blatant BS calls when in a Green Bay game where we get 13 penalties and they get 3.
Right.
Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, and where they only look at holding on one side instead of they put on their blinders when they want to.
Exactly. And it's absolutely ridiculous that T.J. Lang comes to us from the Packers, and he has the most penalty yards he's ever had in a season in one season with the Lions.
Right.
Whereas in every other season he's been with Green Bay,
hardly any.
Hardly any. And so that's more evidence to say that, you know what? Guess what? Here we go again.
Right.
But I mean, to all these other people say, well, there's no Detroit versus everybody, and there's none of this. We're showing you that there is something there. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy theory and they're trying to hold us down. That's not exactly what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is when you're trying to rebuild and you're trying to come up and you're trying to change a culture, and you run into this crap with the officials and the rule changes and all these things that seem to get us every single year, it's really difficult because winning in the NFL is not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not. We know that's true.
It's a difficult thing to win a game in the NFL. When you get games just blatantly taken away from you, it really affects. Okay, last year, the Atlanta game. If we win that game, we're in the playoffs. Atlanta's not.
Yep.
So, okay, you can tell us that it doesn't make a difference. And you can tell us, oh, you had other plays afterwards. Not in that game, we didn't.
No.
And is that the rule? Yeah, it's the rule. But it's the bad rule.
And didn't they not back up the clock like they really should have?
Right. It was actually, I can't remember exactly how many seconds were left.
I thought it was 11. He was down and touched it at 11 seconds.
Right.
So we had 1 second to snap the ball.
They went ahead and did it at 8.
8, yeah.
What Aaron Rodgers can do with 1 second, I know Matthew Stafford could have done too.
Yeah.
We scored 2 touchdowns in 19 seconds versus the Tennessee Titans a few years
right.
ago.
And remember, the play is not over. You know, if there's 1 second or the game is not over until the last play is completed.
So, so that's, once you hike the ball, you got a free play.
Yeah.
You know, so to say that, oh, we're doing this 10-second runoff thing because nobody could possibly get up to the line and do all that, and that's BS.
No.
We never called for them to review the play, and you know, Atlanta never called for them to review the play. They just automatically review scoring play. So they're the ones that reviewed it. They're the ones that overturned it. And the Lions are the ones that get penalized for it.
Yep.
Right.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
And then they never backed up the clock like they should have.
Right. No. They went ahead and just did what they wanted to do to cause the Lions a loss.
Right.
Losses are really hard in the NFL. You only have 16 games.
Right.
So, you know, you can't but I love it when the Green Bay fans and everybody else fans in our division say, well, you guys, what have you done lately? Well, we've been prevented from doing quite a bit lately.
Right.
Yeah.
Been prevented from winning the division a few years. Been prevented last year from making the playoffs. So we would have made the playoffs 2 years in a row if it wasn't for officiating.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's the only reason because we had to play better, obviously.
Right.
But when you make the argument that you have to play better you should have played better. What about the other team?
Right.
Right.
They didn't play well enough to win
No.
because we would have beat them.
Yep. We would have beat the Falcons.
Right. We were toe to toe on them, and a bad call.
No, we
went ahead.
scored the
right.
touchdown.
Yeah, we scored the
The
touchdown.
go-ahead touchdown with
Yeah.
8 seconds left.
Well,
Right.
11 seconds.
Well, it was 8 seconds
Well,
because he went in the end zone.
Yeah.
Right.
They
I guess you can say it.
They took that. That's what happened. So then, when he was actually down, they should have took it from that.
Right.
But maybe that's right because the play wasn't over. So it's possible they were right with the 8 seconds. But I'm just saying what I think.
But if they say that if he was down, then they should have, by rule, backed it up.
But
Because
the
if they
clock doesn't stop because of that, and we had no timeouts.
okay,
So if he was down, the clock would have continued to run. You see what I
Right.
mean? So that's what they're saying. If he was down, the clock would have continued to run anyway because they stopped. They have by rule have to do the 10-second
Right.
runoff to give the time back to the defense that they lost because they went to review it. Well, the problem is we never asked them to review it. Nobody
Right.
asked them
Nope.
to do that. So how would we get penalized for that? And that's a bad rule.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. It's a rule, and it was the correct call at the time, but it's a bad rule.
right.
We've had that before with Calvin Johnson and those people. But this is our first inaugural kind of video show, and we've been trying to bring you video for quite a while, and it's been a struggle,
Oh yeah, it has.
big time.
Yep.
We appreciate Cam being with us this
Hey,
week,
you guys are
Yeah.
welcome.
and hopefully we'll get you another episode next week. This is Lions on the Prowl,
Maniac Tim.
Cam Dizzy signing off.
signing off. We should have done the call that